Hey team, today I'm sharing some clips from a portfolio review with Naydine, a 3D illustrator living in the Netherlands. She's got a really fun style and works on a lot of characters. We talked about some practical website things as well as some ideas for developing her style. Naydine has pivoted from a flat vector style into 3D fairly recently, and she's making great progress and seems to be really committed and motivated. We had a really nice chat, and if you'd like to give Naydine a follow, you can check out her work at the link in the description and send her some love on Instagram. I can't wait to see more of Nadine's work, and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you're not subscribed already, you can hit the old subscribe button down there, and I'll see you next time.
Hello,
Hey, how's it going?
nice to meet you. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. What are your goals with illustration?
Okay. So I think I would like to get my own voice to make my evolve my own style. Like I watch all of your videos and you talked about how like everybody does flat picture illustration. And I think that's also what I did, or what I'm really good at is flat picture illustration. So trying to take my style and evolve it into something else and still keep what I'm good at, but see how far I can push it. So yeah, I think that's my goal for now.
Okay, and what kind of work are you getting at the moment?
Mostly, to be honest, I'm still quite new in freelancing, so I haven't had a lot of jobs coming in, but mostly people are asking me to do character work. So characters mostly for web and advertise. I had a campaign about advertising for the characters for people's websites or yeah.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
good. I mean, I guess that's a good thing about 3D. Like, you can kind of skip the whole editorial part mostly because it's more well suited to the higher paying digital jobs.
I guess.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah. All right, well, I'll just share my screen. I've got your website open here, and I've been making some notes. The first impression is great. This is a really nicely presented website, in my opinion. And I like this introduction here. This is a really great character composition. What I didn't notice when I first looked at your website is this. In a time crunch, here's my gallery, which I think is a really great idea. Because if you've seen my videos, you'll know I'm all about that first impact, right? This is a really strong first impression. But then when you scroll down here, this is great. I like this little introduction. But then when you scroll down here, now this is good work, but it kind of slows down the pace, I think, when I'm looking at it. Because I think, okay, great, let's dive into the work. I want to see it. Okay, I'm not like it's good work, but there's not much of it, and I'm having to do a lot of work to see it. And I could click into these projects obviously and see more work, but that's an extra step. So I think this time crunch idea is a really good one. If anything, I would make that a little more visible
Okay.
because it's a good idea, and it really shows that you're considering the viewer's time constraints, I guess. So the functionality is great, the design is great. I really like this big call to action here. You know, it can't be any more obvious, can it? When I click through to your gallery here, I see what personally I like to see, which is a load of big thumbnails and a big range of work, so I can just scroll through it nice and quick and see whatever I want. Now there is a good range here, a lot of characters, like you said, but now when we go through these sections and we look into the actual projects, I see a lot of good stuff inside these projects, and you'll have heard me say this before. When they're hidden away, you simply run the risk of people not seeing them. You know, unless they've got a load of time, they're probably not going to see some of your best work. So for some of these other images, I mean, this one's great. I really like this. The textures and then the dog is cool. Yeah, this one's great as well. So the user then has a couple of options. They either look through your project in a very slow way, if they've got time, which is possible, but potentially unlikely, or they look at your gallery to get a nice quick overview. But you're missing some great work on this page, even with this overview. So the user might not see some of your best images. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's hard for the artist itself, like for me to look at a work and think, what is the best? Because to me, you know how you have an opinion of what you think is the best work, that someone else might think is better work. So I think including some other works that I might think is maybe my lower ones. And so, yeah, I think I should, maybe just reshuffle them. But
Yeah, I should say I'm no like technical expert when it comes to 3D, so I'm only approaching this as like I guess with my personal opinions. So what I think is your best work, someone else might not think the same, and also somebody that's really familiar with 3D work and the technical stuff, they'll appreciate different things to a casual viewer would as well. Now, what I notice here on this page, when you click on one of these thumbnails, I clicked on one of them earlier and it took me to your Behance portfolio. And again, you've got some nice little case studies, more in-depth project work here, sketches. I really like the way you sketch. Character sheet, sort of, would you describe it as a character sheet?
yeah, and turn around.
Right, yeah. So this looks great. You've got all the objects separated as well, textures. Well, is there any particular reason these aren't on your main website?
To be honest, I wanted to get a website on my Instagram. It's probably a stupid reason as to why, but I just wanted to get my work on a website. And then the idea was if I have some more time, I could take those, because I wanted to, every time you click on a project, I have that whole case study inside of my website, but that takes so long to build. So as I'm building up my work as I go and I have more to show, maybe I'll include it in my website. That was the thinking behind it.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I guess you don't want to spend hours and hours working on your website, right? But I think maybe there are some things that are worth showing on your website, even if you just picked a couple of your favorite projects and did a bit more of an in-depth case study. Now, it's interesting for casual viewers, but also it's useful for potential clients to see how you work, because even at this point, when 3D's been around for ages, right? But there are still clients who are going to look at your work and think, yeah, I want something like this, but they don't have any idea what the process is. So showing some of this process of what a client can expect is just going to be useful. And I don't think you need to show every project, but maybe this could even come under a separate like heading in your, or do you have a menu? Yeah, so in your menu, it could be under like a process heading, and you could include the way you sketch, because I do think that is really nice. And then you've got this clay model here, and how you build the characters out. I think it's just interesting and useful.
Okay.
So that could be a good addition. You must follow other 3D artists, right?
Yes.
That are in a similar space doing character work. What kind of projects are they working on with clients?
I think mostly animating stuff that moves. Character work, especially because I love characters. Of course, that's all I put for now. But I think mostly things that move, maybe stuff on websites, maybe for campaigns where ads for like gifts that are used for. So I think that will be the next step for me, to try and learn how to animate them in Cinema 4D, so I can also have that extra skill, or make my images move to be able to compete with that as well. Because now I only have still images, which I don't think is enough. Well, for me personally, Well, that's
You
quite
do.
like,
No, I wrote down animation here actually because I guess it is a logical next step. Is there, but obviously learning that is a big commitment. But
yeah.
now, as a kind of a first step to that, or two possible options actually, is there a way you could collaborate with an animator that wants to put some cool 3D work in their portfolio or show reel, and then you get the benefit of, you kind of sharing your skills then for both of your benefit? Is
Yeah.
that possible?
That was something I was thinking about. That's also something that I look at when I go through my Instagram, when I'm like interacting with other profiles, checking people's work, is to see the animation that they do and how it's presented and how good they are. The thing, because I used to animate in After Effects, so I can animate 2D things, but obviously it's another learning curve for me to learn how to do it in Cinema 4D. So yeah, that is something I've been thinking about, trying to see if there's someone that I could collaborate with. I just think because I'm so new and I'm so shy still to reach out to people and to put myself out there is something that I need to work on a bit more.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
something that I was actually thinking about and are looking to maybe find someone that can collaborate with me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But all those people that you maybe look up to and want to work with, they've all been through that process.
Yeah, true. I think it's just overcoming it.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about, just in terms of a short-term solution, could it be that you pick a model or a character and do a simple animation of just a rotation, or just to add a little bit more
Yeah.
movement
Visually.
to your
Yeah.
website? Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not really an animation, but it does show. I guess it just would show to a client that these things can move if you want them to.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that is also something that I would try to do maybe from January on, just to have some turnarounds of the characters itself. But the way that I'm building them at the moment, if you had to turn them, it's more like a perspective, a forced perspective. So if you had to turn them, they look completely different. So
Right. Okay. Okay. Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's something you'd have to tackle when you get into the animation.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think also to have a part where maybe I show people that this is what it looks like. If you want to animate, if someone wants an animation done of the characters that I make and have someone collaborate with me, they must know that to get the look that I'm going for, I have to force kind of the perspective. So maybe show some back work of how the characters look on the inside, like on the program, just to make people aware of how it's been put together. It'd be interesting as well.
Yeah. That's a good idea. As part of the process behind the scenes that we were talking about earlier, including the wireframes is I always find that really interesting. Oh, yeah. Another thing I noticed. So one thing that I really liked was these kind of static objects, bathroom objects, cleaning things. Now they are they're fun, but they're realistic also in a way that your characters aren't necessarily. It made me think about the projects I've worked on, the 3D projects I've worked on, and what clients usually want. And yeah, characters is a big part of that, but so is objects. And the way you displayed them here, displaying them like this, I think is a good idea, because maybe a client doesn't want a whole character. Maybe a client just wants to make a few objects that they can compose themselves around a product page or a website or something like that. Would it be fairly easy for you to extract a few of the objects that you've made already and present them in this way as like a collection?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I
Right.
think it
That's
would be a good addition, just to
like,
show something a little bit different. And these miniature scenes that you've got, I think are really good, because the appeal of this one specifically, you could imagine this being used by, a furniture store, IKEA, for example. In fact, I've probably seen IKEA ads with 3D work on. Obviously, they're going to go more realistic because they want to showcase their real products. But it does suggest that there's another string to your bow apart from the characters with big proportions. The more realistic stuff is, maybe it's less interesting to you, but it could broaden your appeal with different clients.
I agree. I actually made a list of, that's why I came up with those scenes. I made a list of one of your videos of some, you said to look at some of the like agencies' websites of categories that they have, maybe like lifestyle or food. And so I made a whole list of those things, and those are one of them. So I tried to make like some scenes. I do want to add some more to display just some, because like you said, maybe someone doesn't want a character, they just want some bottles or some random things to showcase. So yeah, that's definitely something I'll add. Thanks.
Well, for a lot of clients, they'll want to showcase their products. So that could be, it could be furniture, it could be coffee machine, could be a computer. I'm just looking around my room now. um, and a big part of that is going to be showing characters interacting with those objects, but sometimes objects on their own is good too. How come you don't show your 2D work on your website? Do you just not want to do that kind of thing anymore?
Yeah, I think because it's been done, like you said, I don't know, like the videos that I watched of you, I was thinking about it. Like there's so many people that just, I feel like it's so oversaturated to do the 2D vectors for that vector that I'm already doing. It's the same as I see them all over my Instagram, and I love them. It's not that I don't think people that do 2D vectors, it's not great, but I just think that there's so many people doing it. To stand out, you have to really go above and beyond.
Sure.
So that's why I'm just trying to push a little bit away from. I think I can show them as part of my process, like you said, if I have a part of like the process, like they're the part on my Beyond. So I showed the process between the sketches and then the vector and then the 3D character. Maybe then if someone likes the flat vector style, that's also something that
Well, it's not impossible for a client to maybe require a 2D and a 3D version of a character for different purposes. If they want to print something on maybe they want to do an animation for something, and they also want to print it on some packaging. They want the same character in two different versions. Yeah, that could happen. Some of your characters have faces, some of them don't. Tell me about that.
So when I just started with 3D. Those are more of my earlier works, the ones with the faces. So I tried to do like a more simple style, just with the face, maybe with no mouth.
Okay.
Mouth. I don't have a lot of like the one with the shoe. And then I thought, if I want to make a spread or maybe characters, there are a lot of characters in one illustration, sometimes takes away from the illustration when there's so much to look at. So the faces and the textures and the everything on top of that. So my thinking was maybe to try and make some characters that are more simple, so that if I have to put maybe 10 or 5 characters on one illustration, then it's easier to look at, I think, and I can focus more on the textures or the movement of the characters rather than one faces.
Yeah, that makes sense, and perfectly reasonable explanation. I suppose the reason I was curious about it was because character illustrations are usually the purpose, or part of the purpose of them is to connect with an audience, and the lack of a face.
Hard.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, they've got noses and ears, I think, but I just wondered if the eyes specifically are going to be more helpful in connecting with an audience. And I don't know that to be the case for sure. But for example, if I look at a 2D Illustrator and they don't draw faces on their characters, well, it seems a bit of an omission. But almost the impression could be this person can't draw faces, so they don't bother, right? Which I think is the case in some cases. But I mean, the reasoning you gave is sound. I think just a mix would be good.
I think it's also harder to have the characters faceless. It's a bit more of a challenge to have them faceless because the illustration, the emotion that you want to evoke, maybe by the movement or the colors, is a little bit harder to do with something more simple like a character with no face. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think having a variety, some, like you said, people are different. Some might look for something with a face. I mean, yeah.
Well, using these two examples here, you've got the shoemaker, a really friendly look. Maybe friendly is not the right word, but a really kind of relatable, charming face. You can interpret a lot about his character from the big glasses and the mustache. It's great. I connect with that character. But equally, this rich guy with the monocle and the hat, that works really well. This because of the accessories and the upturned nose. I can connect with that very well, and it works perfectly. Whereas this yoga person here, because there's no accessory on the face, it's perhaps a little bit less relatable. Now, maybe the accessory is what makes these simpler faces and heads connect, like headphones, for example, could be good. And this one here's got hair, which is an accessory, I suppose. So for some of them, it works really well. Hey, this guy's here twice.
Oh, that's right.
How did that just?
I'll have to edit that.
So again, with this first image, I think it works really well with the hair. The hat and the monocle work well. This one, maybe I'm not feeling so much of a connection because there's not much there. That could be a helmet maybe on the rugby player or something like that. Yeah, just food for thought. Okay, just two more suggestions for content. Really, environments.
Okay.
You have small suggestions of environment. This one, it looks great. It's almost like a photo studio with some props. This one, equally with the shower, it's good. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the examples you've got with no background environment. But as another addition to your portfolio, working on some environments would be good, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Not my strongest point. So why they're not here. So definitely something that I need to work on and to start. And I've been trying to incorporate some environments. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I have to definitely, with the animation part, start working on that.
Yeah. But, even if you could lean into this kind of photo studio prop thing and build them up, you don't necessarily need massive, complex environments. Actually like this, the way you've done this one particularly. The colors are great in this. Again, it would just add something else to appeal to different kinds of clients, perhaps. And the last thing I want to say is maybe some isometric sort of buildings would be good. Maybe not even isometric, maybe just like the fronts of interesting looking buildings that you find around your city, something like that. Characters are obviously, really popular with 3D, but having a 3D building or, statues, things you might find out in the street would be kind of an interesting addition.
That was actually something that I was thinking about as well. Maybe having a forced perspective of not just characters, but other objects as well. Like you said, I was thinking about buildings or some.
Yeah, good. Of all the things we've talked about, which are the, let's say, the most interesting things for you to look at next?
I think maybe adding more elements, like you said, maybe a variety of things. Maybe I'm just too stuck in one thought process of going, yeah, maybe trying to broaden it a little bit. It can still be like of the same style, of the same artist. I think sometimes I forget that if you make different things, sometimes you can still tell it's the same person like making the things.
Mm.
Maybe that, and also yeah, adding some more, yeah, just building some more on it, so like shaping it more out, putting some more pieces into it, adding some more skill to it, like the animation, like you said, just maybe some movement, but actual movement as a turnaround, like you said, maybe the turnarounds.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. So that's definitely something I'm gonna.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can start small with that. Even with animation, they can get super complex, obviously, but you can just add things as you learn them. Even if it's just a little wink of an eye or a thumbs up or straightforward sort of things that you can practice with. That would be good.